Welcome to Still a Nation Live. It's your boy Sanders Tisdale.
James Owen.
Guys, we had a lot to talk about, so make sure you stay tuned and checking us out every Tuesday, 6 to 7 p.m. here on Still a Nation Live. Guys, Steelers, a huge win versus the Titans, 20-16. Kenny Clutch Pickett, that's the names they're throwing out there. Oh, my God. And is it too early to think of yourself as a diva a la George Pickens? Should Matt Canada stay on the sidelines or should it be back up in the booth? Let me see. What else we got? Huge returns to Pittsburgh. Cam Hayward is back in the saddle for the Steelers, and soon Fitzpatrick coming to a place near you. Steelers might have a different look Sunday versus the Packers. And also, guys, we're going to talk about Salute the Service, which is going to be a huge thing here. And we want you guys to make sure you guys go out there. If you see a serviceman like my boy here, James, just give him a kiss. Anyway, and a lot of things going on here tonight on Still a Nation Live. And also, we want to touch base on, should the Steelers bring back an old Steeler a la Martavius Bryant? Next up on Still a Nation Live.
Welcome back to Steel Nation Live. I'm your veteran and Steel Nation Live co-host, James Owen. Sanders here by my side. And folks, yes, this is the time, salute to service, where the NFL, once again, sometimes they do some good things. I mean, we got a crucial catch for cancer, and that's a big hit. That's been going on since 2010, raising millions and millions of dollars for cancer research, breast cancer, prostate cancer. There's so many cancers out there we can't even keep track. But salute to service is a thank you to the men and women who are actively serving your country and protecting us. It's just what it's all about. And let's not forget the veterans out there, the men and women who serve this country. And what's coming up this weekend, Sanders? Veterans Day. So it's something that we need to celebrate. If you know somebody who's in active duty, give them a call. Tell them thank you, because it goes a long way. If you know or see a veteran, please thank them, because I'll tell you why really quick. Did you know that 22 veterans take their own life every single day due to PTSD and everything that's going on, come back from the wars, come back from active duty? It's hard. Please reach out to Valhalla.com. Search it and see what you can do to help the veterans. Thank a veteran, love a veteran, hug a veteran. It's all about coming up. It's all about love this weekend, Sanders.
Yeah,
and what else can we love? A Pittsburgh Steelers win.
Hey, guys, like we said, and like James said, thank you for the veterans. Everything you do, this radio show, everyday life that we live here, this is all due to the veterans and them protecting us and the things they do out there. So I love to thank them as well. And, I joke around about it, but it is a huge thing out there. And the guys and girls that are out there doing it, much appreciation of what you do. But the Steelers, like we said, James, huge win. Steelers in Pittsburgh versus the Titans. Thursday night, all the lights, all the glare. And the Steelers played very Steeler-esque within the last couple of years. Very slow, very methodical, but the Steelers found a way to pull it out, winning this game 20-16. But James, I will say this, and we talk Steelers football, but much appreciation. You got to give it up to the Titans quarterback, that young QB for the Titans. All I can say is this guy was out there wheeling and dealing that ball, and he was keeping our defense on their heels a little bit, James.
Yeah, I think any other defense probably would have gave him not as much trouble as the Pittsburgh Steelers did. But Pittsburgh traditionally has a great record against rookie quarterbacks coming into the NFL. It's hard to decipher what you're going to look at. I mean, back in the day with Dick LeBeau, when he was running Pittsburgh Steelers defense, love the guy. I mean, sad to have him go, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta retire. You gotta hang up the cleats, whatever. But the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is just a consistently changing schemes. You don't know what you're getting, and it doesn't hurt the Pittsburgh Steelers defense when you got two bookends like TJ Watt and Highsmith on both ends. I mean, who are you going to double team now? I mean, you double team Watt and Highsmith's in there. And not to mention, like you said earlier, Sanders, when he come back, Cam Hayward is back in the mix. I mean, we did a great job with stopping your run. I mean, it's so noticeable, Sanders, when the Steelers defense have that much problem stopping the run. When you have a guy like Derrick Henry, it's like two Najis put together. It's just on steroids. And to shut him down to about 70 yards, we'll go over to statistics later in the show about the game, Thursday night game. But one player helps out a lot, and it just proved when we stopped the run in Derrick Henry Thursday night.
Yeah, a lot of it had, and we all know, like we said, the Steelers right now, they're sitting at 5-3. They're tied for second in their division. Everybody in the whole AFC North is 2 games above 500, which is crazy.
Except the Ravens, and we'll talk a little very quickly about the Ravens, why they are so successful right now. And names have come out with Lamar Jackson calling him Lamarkable Jackson, because we all know when he came to the league, Sanders, running quarterback, he was not accurate. He didn't have arm strength. And why they're so successful is because they didn't give up on him. They didn't make him choose either A or B. They took his attributes, which is his feet, and now they turn him to a very smart throwing quarterback, a very accurate quarterback. And what doesn't hurt the Baltimore Ravens is that they have a wonderful tight end, Heath Miller-esque. You know what I'm saying? And he's out there killing it. And bringing the tight end into the game. And look, you have a 7-2 record, top of the AFC North. That's not an easy feat to do, Sanders. And people at home, exactly. If you're familiar with the AFC North, it's always been a tight-knit community. Okay, it's like either one team, 2, 3 teams, pretty much all even, and there's one that's not so good. And it's usually the Cleveland Browns. But we won't talk about that right now. But we're going to talk about this division, how we still have a shot. But Sanders, you think about it. The Ravens establishing a running game. They got finally an elite quarterback who can not only run, but throw the ball downfield accurately. And talking about the tight ends, you look at the teams out there that are very successful. Why are they successful? You look at who the quarterback is giving the ball to. The tight ends.
Yep.
It's just back in the days of the Patriots, even when Tom Brady wasn't playing there anymore. What was going on? They're throwing to Gronkowski. Now they're throwing the Mahomes is throwing it to Kelsey. And you got Lamar Jackson throwing at his tight end. I mean, just think about it. When Ben was throwing it to Heath Miller. And then Freiermuth. Now suddenly we give that up, and now we're just a mediocre offensive team. It's got to be in there. Speaking about mediocre, Sanders, big changes in the offensive coordinator's position. What happened?
Yeah, I didn't notice much, but I did see Matt Canada came down from the booth and it said, you know what? Maybe you need, your glasses are kind of not the strongest power that you need to actually see the game. So they bring Matt Canada out on the field for the Steelers, let him do his offensive play calling so he can have that close connection with Kenny Pickett. And for right now, it seemed to work. And, I sit here and I say to myself, James and I, we talk offline. A lot of us are starting to wonder, is it Canada? Is it Pickett? Is it Canada and Pickett? Is it Canada, Pickett, and Tomlin? What could be some of the issues? But for this week, all I know is that he came down out of the bleacher stands, came on the field, and it seemed there was a little bit more cohesiveness to the offense. But the fact is, I still think a lot of it remains heavy with Kenny Pickett trying to get his throws down early in games, which we all know they call him a juggernaut. They call him the guy. Joe Montana in the fourth quarter.
Montana.
And all of a sudden, the first 3 quarters are like nothing, like mush. I argued with Jamie offline. I said, I feel like I'm watching, he made Bubby Brister, the old Steeler quarterback, look like an MVP candidate.
No.
I mean, James fought me on that, but you guys look back. An MVP candidate. I'm telling you, man. But other things too we want to get to as well. The running game, it picked up a little bit as well, which I was glad to see here in this game versus the Tennessee Titans. You had Najee actually 16 for 69, and Warren has 11 for 88. So Warren had a decent day. A lot of people out there are still hemming and hawing, saying, you know what, maybe we need to let Warren be the feature back, James.
No, I think once you do that, then you take away Jalen Warren's power. I mean, he is what he is. Okay. We talked about this before about starters and backups. If you are a backup on the team and the starter goes down, your job, your role is to get in there and be a backup. That's what you are. You're a backup. And if you're doing really good, that's great, because that's what your job title is to do. You're supposed to step in for the starter, and it's supposed to, not skip a beat. You're not in there like, okay, I'm better than the starter now, so I should be the starter. No, that's not true. Tennessee happens to go against that because Will Levis is doing so good. When Tannehill comes back, sorry, Ryan, you're a backup now. But that's not the Steeler way. You have a job to do. You have a role. You play the job. You play the role. And when it's done, it's done. Jalen Warren's doing a fantastic job because of his job situation. You take him out of that, you might not get as productive as he's doing right now. Look at Najee Harris. His production is starting to increase as well. We can't mess around with that. And getting back to Canada, coming down from the sidelines, that's always a good thing. It's kind of like a rah-rah thing. You know what I mean? If you're an offensive lineman and you have a question for offensive coordinator, you can't communicate with him because just the quarterback has the headset and he could talk to the coordinator. So not a coordinator could come down and tell everybody on offense line, here's the game plan, 3 and out.
3 and out.
So now everybody knows. But, I have to throw it out there. But getting back to your thing about Kenny Pickett and stuff, we talked about this offline, that when you're drafting a quarterback, Sanders, if you're trying to get that franchise elite quarterback, there's certain check marks off this box that you have to check. And if the draft comes and his player's not available, you have to go and just hope next year is better and hope that the players you have right now can, overcome, can adapt, can be better than what they were the season before. You just can't draft somebody in hopes that they're going to become what you want them to become, knowing what and who they are.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
And we talk about Kenny Pickett, like I said offline. It's just that, it's one of those romance novels, one of those fairy tale stories. Hometown kid, played college in Pittsburgh, played at the same stadium in Pittsburgh. He knows the ins and outs, the people, the culture, the heritage, everything about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rah, rah, rah. He needs to be our quarterback. He's good. He was very good in Pittsburgh, but is very good right now going to get you to where you need to go? No, you need better than very good, especially if you're starting to label or you're trying to label somebody as your franchise quarterback. It's not going to happen, folks, if you're just like, okay, he's really good, let's hope he gets better. Then you put him in the situation where the coaching staff really isn't together and the game plan really isn't together. And now you're putting a lot of pressure on this young quarterback. Could it be why he's overthrowing receivers because of the so much pressure is on him? I mean, who's backing him up? I mean, Trubisky? Come on. Trubisky. And then Rudolph behind him? I don't know, Sanders. I mean, we've had Rudolph for 5 years, 6 years, and he's a third-string quarterback. Joshua Dobbs was the third-string quarterback.
Yeah.
And look how he's doing somewhere else. Maybe that might be a sign for Rudolph. Hey, trade me, so maybe we can get some draft capital for next year. And maybe he could, go and fill into a team and do just as good as Joshua Dobbs is doing. I mean, he went to the Cardinals, and then right after Cardinals, he's at the helm of the Minnesota Vikings because Kirk Cousins went down with the torn Achilles. And he comes in, remarkable, come back from behind win at a new team. I mean, hours before he started? He was on the sidelines with an offensive line trying to get the snap count together with these guys. And that's a disaster. How many false starts, delayed games can you have?
Yeah, no, I agree totally.
Not a lot at all.
But James, let's go over some of the stats from that game Thursday night.
So, the Pittsburgh Steelers, short week, 2016 victorious, the second game of a 3-game homestand at Acrisure Stadium. Folks, before I have to throw out that phone number here, 585-210-3917. Please give us a call. Get us on a message board. That's 585-210-3917. We'd love to hear from you. any team out there, if you're a football fan, not necessarily a Steeler fan, you should be. But if you're not, call in. I mean, we're not going to beat you up. We're not going to, that's not what we're about. If you know anything about Steeler Nation Live, we're a great entertainment football radio program. So please call. We implore you. But anyways, 2016 on a short work week for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tough, in the trenches game. Both statistically, both teams really didn't do that much. The Titans had 340 total yards. The Steelers had 326 penalties, starting to kill the Pittsburgh Steelers. 10 penalties, 80 yards. A couple of them, we're going to talk about that later with the taunting. What kept us in the game was we didn't turn the ball over. And Kenny Pickett has not thrown an interception, knock on wood, in the past 5 games. So let's keep that routine going. Now, Pickett was 19 for 30 for 160 yards, and he did throw that 1 TD to Deontay Johnson. When did Deontay Johnson last score a touchdown, folks? Well, if you're keeping score at home, the last quarterback to throw to Deontay Johnson for a touchdown was Ben Roethlisberger. I think it was 118 quarters that Deontay Johnson has gone without scoring a touchdown.
That's crazy.
Now, we're going to talk about this and the way Pickens handled that situation in a few moments after you go over the stats. You said Jalen Warren, 11 carries, 88 yards. Najee Harris, 16 carries, 69 yards in a touchdown. And Deontay Johnson, 7 catches, 90 yards, and that 1 touchdown. Will Levis, 22 for 39, 262 yards. He did have that 1 interception, and that was Quan Alexander in the end zone to solidify the game, which we all thought that the game was over a couple plays before, but those referees got to throw that laundry on the field, game-ending play, and then Joey Porter gets called for holding. I'd like to see what that is. And the thing about Joey Porter Jr., he's come in, man, he is playing lights out. But here's the bad thing about that is we don't need this to go to his head. We don't need him to start, calling out other players and starting to get those penalties that we don't need to. We've seen with Deontay Johnson, and let's talk about the elephant in the room there, Pickens. And you said earlier in the intro about divas. Is it too early to be a diva? Now, we all know Pickens was, highly motivated in Georgia. He was quick to speak, and he had, but when you play good, I guess you can have that attitude. But when you get to the NFL, it's time to calm down. It's time to grow up now. And we've been in situations where he has had taunting penalties, erased first downs, field position, you name it. What's next? A touchdown to be called back, or game-ending play? I mean, Tomlin says, and he quoted that he's a pebble in his shoe, which leads to me, Sandra, we talked about this offline.
Right.
A pebble in his shoe, yes, it's somewhat irritating. However, but I think the problem is more than just a pebble in the shoe.
Yeah, I know. It is. It's a lot of it. And you know what? That's one of the main subjects that I wanted to touch base on now. And one of the things that out there, I've heard a lot of people out there saying, you know what? Kenny Pickett is the man. Kenny Pickett is our guy. There are a lot of people out there saying, you know what? They're dubbing him now, like I said, Kenny Clutch Pickett. Let me ask you guys. Now, Kenny Pickett, yeah, did he have 6 fourth quarter comebacks and
7 game-winning drives?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, did he? I agree he did. But let's look at it this way. Kenny Pickett also kept the other teams in there. When you got a defense that's fighting and clawing to hold our team, our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers, in this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is an actual good point. He sets himself up to be put in that position. So do we want him to continue this? Yes, it's great that, you come back and you win these games, and we all know it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. But when was the last time, and I should have fact checked this, I can't remember. When was the last time the Steelers won from start to finish? We're in the lead from start to finish and actually won a game. And another question out there, folks, is when was the last time you watched the Pittsburgh Steelers game without having 911 on speed dial? I mean, I can't. The one game I do remember, it was years ago. They played Thursday Night Football against the Carolina Panthers,
Right.
And we won 54-10 or something like that. That was a great game.
Yeah.
I got to actually enjoy the game. And when you're winning, it's always a good thing. But when you're constantly in these, and I think what it is, and we all talk about the NFL being rigged lately, and folks call in with your team because there's teams out there that have been screwed all weekend, all week by the referees, with bad play calling, bad penalties, missed penalties, whatever. I mean, when was the last time that the game wasn't really actually decided by penalties? And it seems like they think that that's what we want to see, fans to see a great tight game. No, I want to see the Steelers dominate. And anybody out there doesn't like the Steelers, I'm pretty sure they want their team to dominate, but it's not good for sales and viewership. If you got a team that's blowing somebody out, nobody's going to watch it unless it's your team.
Yeah.
And then, who loses out on that? The NFL. Why does that happen? Because with commercials and advertising, if people aren't watching the games that are getting blown out, other than your team who's winning, you're not going to watch it, and you're not going to see the advertisements. You're not going to, want to go out to Burger King or go, Christmas shopping at Walmart or Kohl's or whatever like that. And they lose a lot of money. But if everybody's, nose to the TV set and they're like, oh, are we going to win? Who's going to win? And then they roll the commercials, advertisements, and all this crap. They don't lose.
Yeah.
But if it's a close game, they win.
Yeah, I would like to get feedback on that too. Like you said, James, if you guys want to call in, it's 585-210-3917. We want to get your thoughts on this situation with Kenny Pickett. There are a lot of people out there who are more or less tired of Kenny Pickett. There are a lot of people out there, myself, I'm a little bit down the road, I believe he does deserve some time to try to mold this up and see what's going to happen. But how long is too long? How long do you wait on a guy who last year was his rookie year? I give him that. Yeah, last year was his rookie year. Let's put that in perspective. It was his rookie year. Kenny Pickett, he did okay. I mean, he brought us back in some games, but and that was just defense. And I think that's the Steelers' play right now is let the defense try to hold, and hopefully our offense can come around like we just discussed. But the thing about it is, Kenny Pickett has to pick it up. There's other quarters out there that needs to be filled. Quarters 1, quarters 2, quarters 3. Where the hell are you, Kenny? And I mean, the fact is, we're watching these games. All I'm watching is 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And like I told James, offline, we talked. For one play, I actually did see our young diva George Pickens go across the middle to like a 10 and 5 yard out, and Kenny Pickett launched that ball over his head. I was thoroughly disgusted. I was on the phone with James, and I felt so sick to my stomach. 5 yards away, and you launched the ball over like he's 7'5", and I don't get it. Kenny Pickett has to figure it out if the Steelers are going to be successful. I don't know how right now. A lot of people out there are saying maybe Tomlin's coach of the year. What we've been, the Steelers have been outscored, out yardage, out you name it. For any one of the teams that we played in 8 games this year, we have not been the upper edge of yardage or winning or anything. And the Steelers are 5-3. I mean, you figure it out.
Listen, you gotta, you people out there gotta pull on the reins of this coach of the year. I mean, is he one of the elite coaches in the NFL? Absolutely. But statistically wise, look at this team. The Pittsburgh Steelers made more history after their last game against the Titans, which is the worst team in the NFL statistically. Have 5 wins. They have, if you look at every stat that the Pittsburgh Steelers had this year, we're behind. I mean, we haven't outgained or outdid anybody statistically, yet we still have 5 wins. And why is that? Because that's offensively statistics. You look defensively, statistics, and that's what's keeping us in the games. We're scoring touchdowns on defense. We're not doing splash plays per se. I mean, we had a pick 6, we had a fumble 6, a scoop 6, we have sacks, we've forced turnovers. I think we lead the league in forcing turnovers. But other than that, we're setting up the offense to be, to score touchdowns. I mean, last against the Titans, opening drive, scored a touchdown. When's the last time you've seen the Pittsburgh Steelers do that on an opening drive?
Yeah.
It's you got to get away from that mentality that, all right, we have to show that I can throw the ball. I have receivers who can catch the ball, but you have to have a game plan where you're controlling the clock.
Oh, agreed.
And
agreed.
it doesn't hurt that we have one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL. I think Boswell only missed that one field goal so far this season. That's knocking wood again, folks. And that's because of a BS penalty, offsides on the offensive line during a field goal. And everybody knows, well, not everybody, but the referees know that you cannot call offsides on a team kicking a field goal. That's only on a regular play, which is unheard of. And if you look at the highlights, you look at the plays, the Pittsburgh Steelers were not offsides whatsoever on that play. There was no false starts. There was no lineup in the neutral zone. In fact, if you look back at the still shots that Chris Boswell kind of tweeted out there, the Titans were lined up in the neutral zone. So that should have put the ball 5 yards closer. However, he made the field goal. Had it been against the Titans, they would have nullified the penalty. Field goal's good. And now we're tied. But since he had to back it up in the weather and the terrain, I know he missed.
Yeah.
So I'm preaching to the choir, folks, is what I'm doing. And like I said, there's other teams out there, the Dallas Cowboys, the Eagles. I mean, I could go on and on. Teams getting screwed by penalties and bad flags. And so that's a topic we're going to talk about later in the show. And folks, we want to hear your comments either on the message board or call us in 585-210-3917. And we do have a call right now.
All right, guys. Welcome to Still Nation Live. Who do we have on the line?
Oh, wow. The faithful are back in the house. It's like you guys decided to come back on after 2 weeks of a non-existence. And it's just like you can't bash you for you win and you can bash you when you lose. And it's just like, well, come on now.
Well, folks at home, if you're just tuning in, this is one of our most faithful listeners, San Fran Steve, taking his time out from across the whatever you want to call it to call in to Steeler Nation Live and give his 2 cents about not only the Pittsburgh Steelers, but his failing 49ers. And the last time the 49ers won a game, me and Sanders were talking about this offline, is when you destroyed the Cowboys. Ever since then, you're back to reality as a normal team. Injuries, bad plays, bad weather. San Fran Steve, what can you attribute this downfall of the 49ers after their last blowout win against the Cowboys?
Well, what's attributing to their defense that doesn't have a number one starting DB or a cornerback, and their or the defensive coordinator's terrible right now.
Now, didn't you guys just acquire
Chase Young?
Yeah, a former number 1 draft pick from the I almost said Redskins. We can't say Redskins. So we're going to say Commanders, from the Commanders. And this guy's no slouch if he stays healthy. Where do you see him fitting in with that defensive line with Bosa and the rest of the guys?
Well, I think he's going to play the opposite end as Bosa, just like they did back in college when they played together at Ohio State.
Well, so defensively, like everybody else needs out there, what did you guys do at the trade deadline, if anything, besides getting the defensive end?
Well, we were kind of beat up. If you remember, we were kind of beat up in the middle. Armstead should be coming back soon. Bosa that just needs somebody else to help him out, and you may see a reserve. He may come back and play with the contract that he just signed earlier this year, and it's just like you and I talked offline. He signed that big contract, and what usually happens when you sign a big contract, you get hurt, and he hasn't got hurt, but he hasn't been playing up to his contract.
Now, talking about Purdy, now you know that I haven't been a fan. I was coming around at one point, and then he just, solidified my attitude towards him with, bad play in the rain or whatever it is. He sustained a concussion. He's injured. Do you think that has anything to play with his coming to play about his ability right now? He
set up his team twice to win it against both Cleveland. He set him up to kick the game-winning field goal, and the kicker booted it. And what's the next one? The week after, he actually was set up to win that game too. And was that against? So it's not him. It's not that he hasn't been putting his team in a position to win. It's just like we can blame the defense. We can blame the kicker for 2 of those games. Then they got against Minnesota, and then last time they played, they looked terrible altogether. So against the Bengals.
Now your NFC West division really, you're up there. The Seahawks are slowly climbing in. They have the same record as you. I think you guys play on Thanksgiving. I could be wrong. I think it might be the late game. So what do you see the 49ers doing this coming week and preparing for the Thanksgiving Day game?
Wait. What are we talking about my 49ers? Let's go beat up your Steelers for a little bit. Holy crap. You want to just go to the 49ers. Let's talk about how bad you played against. You guys are lucky. You guys are lucky that your defense is keeping you in games.
You got them hyped up.
I tried. I tried.
You are so lucky your defense is keeping you guys in games.
I love it.
All right, let me ask you this.
You got the Cincinnati Bengals, who might be one of the hottest teams in the league right now. You guys got them twice. This is like, let's not talk about. Well, your 49ers are.
I had them.
They're about to play Seattle, and let's talk about you guys.
Okay, let me ask you this. Now you've seen Kenny Pickett.
I'll listen.
You've seen Kenny Pickett.
Huh?
You've seen Kenny Pickett, right? So we were just talking about Kenny Pickett. Now Kenny Pickett, he had like 6 fourth quarter comebacks, and six fourth quarter comebacks,
7 game winning
drives. Yep. So what is your thoughts on Kenny Pickett? I mean, when you see Kenny Pickett, what do you think about Kenny Pickett? And do you think Kenny Pickett is a lot of the problems with the offense?
I think Kenny Pickett is a medium-class quarterback that's playing for a team that, as I mentioned on your show plenty of times, I think your offense corner is terrible. I don't think Kenny Pickett. I don't think he's going to be your full-time guy. I think you guys really need to go out and look and see what else is out there.
Yeah, like
I think. But you guys have AB number 2 that's getting ready to explode again, and
that's possible.
And George Pickens is like, what the hell is that?
I mean, if you look at it, like we talked earlier in the show, and Deontay Johnson scored that touchdown. So he hasn't scored a touchdown in 118 quarters. Pickens has a couple of touchdowns under his belt. Congratulate the guy. Why? And he had a touchdown, which me and Sanders talked before the show. How in the world this guy toe taps, backward flips, catch the ball one hand, keeps his feet in bounds, and he had a ball thrown to him directly. He's facing. He gets 1 foot in, and he sweeps his other leg over out of bounds like he's one of the Rockettes from New York. Didn't even make an attempt to put the foot down to toe tap. Was that because he was angry, said, I'm not going to score a touchdown? Or I just don't understand the mentality of these players. I mean, it's all about them. It's a team effort. Everybody has to come together. They have to gel if you want to win. You unless he's going to grab the ball and score touchdowns every time he plays, and it's all about him. Good for you. Then, yay, it's all about you. But when you come and you're losing games and you're dropping passes and you're not getting your feet in bounds for touchdowns, something's got to be done. And like I said, Tomlin came out with the quote that he's just a pebble in his shoe. No, he's more than a pebble.
No, he's right now is a cancer in your locker room. It's just like, see what you get for him for next year. Go for a number 1 pick and see. And I think the hottest wide receiver out there is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. From Ohio State. I think this kid is remarkable, and he has all the tools to make it as a pro and might even be better than his father.
Well, I said they should have traded him before the deadline to Chicago for Jalen Johnson, one of the best elite corners in the NFL right now, and you guys could probably use him too. You said you need a corner as well. I would have given him up for it. We got enough wide receivers right now that we don't really need him. And Hunter Renfrow is out there too, that the Pittsburgh Steelers were thinking about grabbing him for super cheap to throw in the slot there, and you can bump Deontay Johnson back out to the side, and then there goes Pickens. Let somebody else deal with him. But I think with the history of Mike Tomlin and dealing with these head cases, I think people are overlooking what the potential hazard, like you said about him, is going to explode. That people are relying too heavily on Mike Tomlin as a father figure as opposed to a coach who's going to corral this guy. And it didn't work in the past with AB, Le'Veon Bell, Martavius Bryant. It didn't work with those guys, I don't think it's going to work.
I got San Fran Steve. I got to disagree with them on that. It's the only reason I say because Mike Tomlin controlled AB for almost 9 years, and this dude was a prolific receiver during that whole process. And like I said, probably the best receiver in the NFL.
Oh yeah, hands down, no doubt.
So I think he's looking back at that. And I think that Tomlin is possibly saying to himself, well, like he said he wants a guy who's got some fire in him. And I'm with that. You like a guy who got a little fire, get me the ball. Give me the ball. I want the ball. But like he said, they gotta show him, they gotta teach him. You can't. You there's other people on this team. There's other,
Yeah, and you know what? He has also proved himself too. It's just like you proved yourself with a couple good catches. Prove it in, week out.
Exactly. That's the key. That's the key right there, brother.
There you go.
Hey, we got another call that's coming up, but all right, I want to make sure that I get your numbers. So who did the San Francisco 49ers play this week? So we can
we play Jacksonville.
Oh,
Jacksonville.
Oh.
Now the 49ers, really quick before we go, so we take this other caller, that the 49ers have been screwed this season as far as games, and you could probably agree with me on that. Short weeks, they have 2 coming up. It's just in the scheduling, East Coast, West Coast, not good for the 49ers, and I just had to throw that out there.
Well, like I said a couple weeks ago, I never expected to go undefeated. I think 2 of the losses could have been taken care of if we still had Robbie Gould as our kicker. But hey, things happen. Maybe this bye week was the perfect time to come back. It looks like Devo's starting to run again. So I don't know, 28-17 this week.
28-17 49ers?
Yep.
McCaffrey scored
another.
Who
do you guys have this?
McCaffrey scored another rushing touchdown?
Why not? Why don't you just keep building the record?
Beautiful. I love it. And the thing about that,
who do you guys got?
That's who do you guys? Steelers versus the Packers.
Yes, in Pittsburgh.
The Packers. The Packers are terrible. I'll let you guys win this one by 20-17.
Yep, that's what I said. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
And 20-17, and your defense and special teams will score, and Kenny Pickett he'll suck until a minute and a half left, and because your defense gave him a good field position to get up and win the game. So,
all right,
that's it.
Sometimes truth hurts, I guess. I don't know.
Hey guys, like we said, another week. San Fran Steve calling in, giving us his feedback. I love it. Like I said, we love when guys come in, talk about their teams, so we go back and forth with it. San Fran Steve is one of the good ones out there, brother. Hey, much appreciation for being on Still a Nation Live, my dog.
All right, you guys take care and be passionate on your team like I just was a few minutes ago. See you later.
Well, we're getting back to that also that I forgot to mention. If San Fran's still listening, that 2 of the games they played on short weeks, that the team they played had a bye before, so they were well rested. Like the Cincinnati Bengals, well rested. But anyways, enough of the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, we have the Green Bay Packers coming to town Sunday.
Yep.
Sunday in Pittsburgh. I will be there, folks. If you see me in the stands, come get an autograph picture.
Oh, God.
I'll be selling merchandise, Steel Nation merchandise.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a great game. And there's a history between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Green Bay Packers. We played, I think it was 36 times against each other, including the Super Bowl we lost to the Packers. and they are Aaron Rodgers-less, so that helps out a little bit. I think the Packers own the series 20 games to 16. And I think the last time the Steelers played the Packers was in, I think, 2019, and we lost 27-17, I do believe. But different teams, different scenarios.
Right.
And did I say I was going to be at that game, Sanders?
Yeah. I can't wait to see you there, man.
I'll be at that game, probably getting arrested.
More than likely. But guys, we also wanted to touch base, and we did. We just touched base on George Pickens, which was huge. A lot of you guys out there gave us your thoughts on George Pickens. I believe George Pickens needs a lot of work. He's a young guy. I think he'll build himself. But the thing about it is he's got to stay focused. And if he stays focused, he's also had the feedings of Hines Ward. Hines Ward, going on social media saying, you know what? It's not about you. It's about the team. You get those titles, you'll start feeling differently, and you'll see about winning. Of all people, look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady won, and I can't stand Tom. But Tom Brady won titles. This guy should have been the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He was never.
I think he was.
I don't think he was. We got to look that up. I don't think he was. And this guy should have been the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Tom Brady he put his team above himself. I'll give him that. Now, when you don't put your team above yourself, you'll see that in instances such as, who is it, Green Bay? Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, you know what? He wanted all the money, and what happened? He lost a top-level receiver who had to end up going to the Raiders.
Yeah.
He couldn't get paid. Yeah, Adams couldn't get paid because his quarterback took all the money. So that's the difference. And like you said, this guy, he's a young receiver. Don't follow the path of AB. I understand you getting mad, I'm with you. You got Kenny Pickett on 5 to 7 yard outs who's throwing the ball like you're 25 yards downfield. And I get it. I'd be pissed off. Like my brother said, my brother Lawrence Tisdale, he said, you know what? You got the only quarterback in the NFL that's got your wide receivers running wind sprints. And I 100% right now at this point, it's starting to look that way. These guys are going. And if I was George Pickens, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Wilson Pickett. But the thing about it is, if I was these guys, I'd be pissed. I'm running out there all day long, and they showed on TV wide open wide receivers, and we just had online. We had Cowboy Rod. He sat there and said, and I agree with him. He said, you know what? It's the O-line. The O-line's not giving them enough time to throw. And I agree with you to a certain extent, Rob. But the fact is that when he does get the time, if you look at some of the highlights, he's jacking that ball at least 5 to 10 yards over a guy who's wide open.
Yeah.
Pickens was wide open. He threw it over his head. He threw it over Deontay Johnson's head. It's like, come on, man. You gotta finish the basic plays. Those basic plays, and I go back again to Tom Brady. Tom Brady was one of the masters of Tom Brady would nickel and dime you downfield until he knew his man was wide open for a long bomb. And these young quarterbacks today, it's 3rd and 1, and they're going for bombs. Yeah. I don't get it. Move the chains. Football is simple. You know why football is simple? And I know a lot of women agree with that, is because men love football. And what do men do? We're very simple. Sandwich, food, dinner, breakfast, football, NBA. That's just easy, simple. Stop making this thing a nightmare, James.
Yeah, stop making it more difficult than what it is. I mean, stop overthinking it. Just do the job. I mean, just do what you're supposed to do. I mean, you do it for a living.
Yeah.
Just do it. I don't know. Folks, call in 585-210-3917, 585-210-3917. We're out there looking for messages, for phone calls, your thoughts, your take on Kenny Pickett, Pickens, the whole Najee Harris.
Oh, one thing we want to talk about as well is Steelers. They're going to be looking differently this Sunday versus the Packers. Steelers going to be donning new wears, James.
Yeah, the throwback 1970 jerseys with the big block letters. I think I wore Najee's jersey last show. And we got a caller on the line, right? We'll talk about that in a second.
We'll talk about that in a second. But right now, we're grabbing this caller. Welcome to Steeler Nation Live. Who do we have on the line?
This is Jason Tisdale.
Oh,
Whoa.
Actually, you know what? It's my cousin. He's actually, you know, I'm gonna call him Delaware Jake. This guy is out there. He's a big time still a lover, just like us.
Nice.
And Jay, I don't know if you caught a lot about what we were talking about earlier about the fact of Kenny Pickett. Real quick, well, I'm gonna get your take on Kenny Pickett. What's your thoughts on Kenny Pickett? And do you think it's the fact that Kenny Pickett is not getting enough time to look downfield for his receivers?
All right. So obviously with Kenny Pickett, including myself, I thought things were looking up for Kenny Pickett, especially in the preseason. Things were really precise. He was on time with his receivers. The blocking was fine. But again, I know that's preseason, and a lot of those defenses are vanilla at that time. But anyway, they still put on a good showing. So for Kenny Pickett, for me, I believe, I still think he does escape the pocket a little bit too early.
I agree.
And doesn't give his, I know this is something he has to learn a little bit more, but he needs to, easy for me to say this, but he needs to climb that pocket a little bit more and not look to like exit the pocket so quickly to try to get out.
Agreed.
So
now let me ask you this. Now, oh, you can go ahead.
Yo, yeah. The one thing that can fix this problem is if we get a center who knows what they're doing. The reason why Kenny's not stepping up into the pocket is because we got that center push, that center rush, because we don't have a center. And the one we have right now is one of the worst statistically centers in the NFL, as far as, you know, when you rating for points and in style and whatever. He is the worst center in the NFL right now. And the kid that we should have drafted went to Kansas City, and he's living a life there. But I do believe if we get a center, that you'll be able to see Kenny Pickett either have more time or be able to step up into the pocket. Like look at all these other teams that when the receivers are covered, what happens? The quarterback runs up the middle and he runs for at least 10, 15 yards. I mean, look at the Chiefs. They're famous for that. And Josh Allen for the Bills, same thing too. I think if we have a center, I think that problem will either not go away, but it diminish.
I think you speak on a good point there because over the last several weeks, he has been a weak link to that offensive line. And the sad part about it, they don't really have anybody to replace him. Right. So I think what they're trying to do right now is just help him out. The guards of that nature just trying to help him out because they know he's not doing too well. So yeah, you're right. I believe next year they will try to focus on trying to find themselves a bona fide center going forward to
now
seal that lineup.
Now, when you draft a center, people don't understand this. If you don't get a center in the first round, the first 10 picks, anything after that, I'm not going to say it's garbage, but you have elite offensive linemen, the first 10 picks of the first round. If you do not grab a center within that, you got to pray. And the two top targets right now the Pittsburgh Steelers need is a corner and a center. You have to, pick your poison. I would go for a center myself because you could always grab a top-notch corner in late in the first round or early second round. But the center is very intricate. You have to get him in the first 10 picks of the first round, or you're not gonna succeed. And I hate to go back in time when Ben Roethlisberger, why was he able to extend plays? Yes, he had the size. Yes, he had the escapability. But why? Think about this. He had a center, Pouncey. And he had a center before Pouncey. So and people are like, oh yeah, Ben really knows how to extend plays. And if he has to roll out, he rolls out. He really wasn't that fast or agile. But why was he extending plays? Because he had the protection up front. And Pickett, unfortunately, does not have the protection right now. And Pittsburgh needs to go out and help him out like that, and can't expect this guy to pull games out of his ass every game.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the thing about it is, I don't know, Jay, I don't know if you've you caught. Well, I'm pretty sure because you're a hardcore Steeler fan. But the thing about it is, you've seen some of the passes that were missed by Kenny Pickett.
Oh yeah.
And to me,
Yes, I have.
where are you going if you can't complete the small passes, which is like 5 or 6 yards to 7 yards, which is amazing to me when I watch it, because I've never seen it in the NFL. To me, I mean, when you got guys that are that wide open, it's one thing if you're under duress, but to be back up in a pocket, then you look somewhere, and then you dump a ball way over a guy's head, or if you're not dumping a ball way over a guy's head, you got guys running around in the middle of the field wide open.
You know, my question would be to this, not just to the offensive coordinator, Mike Tomlin, what kind of relationship off the field does your quarterback have with your receiver core? How close knit is that? Is it just you show up for practice and after that you're done? I think this day and age, to be successful, this is just me, not as offensive coordinator, which I probably should be for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But anyhow, that you have to build a relationship with your receivers, a rapport.
Agreed.
And once you get that rapport, practice is more justifiable. It's more usable. It's knowing who the person is that you're throwing the ball to and how they react. And if I'm a receiver and I know the quarterback has problems across the middle, I'm going to adjust my play to make it easier for him, and vice versa for the quarterback. If the receiver has problems with running routes or specific routes, I'm not going to throw that route. I'm not going to do that play. I'm going to do something that's more comfortable for me and my receivers, and I have to know their abilities. This practice for a couple hours or whatever, a couple of days a week, obviously it's not cutting it. So if you're going to school and you're failing math or science or whatever, you need to get extra help from the teacher, and you got to go extra hours afterwards. And hopefully down the line, you develop some intelligence and knowledge. I think that's lacking the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. I could be wrong, but that's what I see. Jay, what do you think?
So I can answer that. So in terms of the off season, and I think this was Pickett's first year since he knew he was going to be the starter. Prior to that, was it Trubisky? I believe it was Trubisky. He took all his skilled players down to Florida. I'm not sure for how long, but they pretty much had an off season, getting to know each other, getting acquainted, and trying to get a feel for this receiver, that receiver, how they run routes and things like that. And then the following year, Pickett did the same thing, since it was basically his team. He had a little off-season program with his skilled players that he took them somewhere, and just trying to get more rapport with those guys as well. Now, in terms of the extra part, in terms of maybe after practice, that's a good point. Does that happen after practice in terms of in season? Good question. Or do they just do jug machines? Or is Pickett spending that extra hour or two, with them? The other point that you guys brought up, and I'm not one of those who just like the land-based offensive coordinator. We know we need a new offensive coordinator. That's pretty obvious. But kind of like Sam said earlier, I'm not really a big fan of Canada, but there are receivers running wide open from week to week on this team. If you look at, and sometimes when I get a chance to, I look at like the All-22, because that gives you a better field view of what's going on and what he's seeing. But yeah, there are receivers running open that a combination of he's not seeing them, or maybe he's under duress, but there are open. So I'm not sure if other people have called up here and just said you got to get him out of here, that sort of thing. But his offense is a little maybe college like, but he does have people open. Deontay Johnson is a great route runner.
Yes.
And he is pretty much open to move the chains consistently. But in terms of scheming guys open, like Pickett, Pickens, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
who doesn't really know his routes that well. He's getting better. You need to scheme a talent like that open, and I'm not sure if he has the capacity to do that. You just line up here as this X receiver and do the route. What I mean by scheming like a talent like that open, you need to put him in motion. You need to probably put him in the slot. You need to run some picks and things like that.
Agreed.
That's what I mean by scheming somebody who has talent like that open. If you're really talented as offensive coordinator, you'll find a way to get the ball to one of your best players. I mean, I look at a team like Cleveland. When you think of Cleveland with their skilled players, who do you think of?
Yeah,
as a receiver,
Cooper.
Yeah,
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper. So you mean to tell me defenses aren't going into that game just trying to shut Amari Cooper down? But if you look at Amari Cooper's stats, you're like, wow, they have one guy.
Yeah.
And he's somehow still getting open and getting all these catches. I don't know if it's the opposing defense. They just can't shut one guy down. All you got to do is double team. They have one skilled guy on the receiving end that you got to worry about. But this guy still put up numbers.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and Jay, that's one thing I do want to, and I know we get short on time, but I wanted to talk to you quick. Really, I do believe that the Steelers Pickens has to come to the realization that he's starting to flourish as a wide receiver, so he's going to be doubled. So that means that Deontay Johnson, of course, is going to be getting more balls because Deontay Johnson was a number one receiver. So of course he's going to get more balls now. So and you're getting double now, and you're a guy that's just coming off a rookie season, and you're getting doubled. So to me, that's much respect of them showing you that they value you a little bit more than they do the guy who was the number one receiver. And I think he has to come to the realization of, I bide my time. This guy, he's going to be a phenomenal talent for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he just has to get in his head, get that diva mindset away for, whatever. And I'm pretty sure, and just like San Fran Steve said on here earlier, it's going to eventually raise his ugly head again. You know what? I mean, but by then, hopefully, we can probably some way process a title out of this somewhere down the line. I don't know if it's going to be done with Pickett. That remains to be seen, but I do believe the Steelers have the talent right now to at least make the playoffs, but they got to figure out what they're going to do with this whole Pickett situation. And like we talked offline, I haven't even seen Pickett have a 300-yard game yet.
No.
Come on. And this is going on in what? This is your second year playing football, and you haven't had a 300-yard game. You got bums out here in the NFL that had 300-yard games.
Well, getting back to what we said about Matt Canada, since he's been offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the past 3 years, whenever Pittsburgh Steelers have not had a game over 400 yards total since he's been offensive coordinator, and every other team in the NFL has done at least 4 times. So, I mean, Pickett has his problems with overthrowing and not hitting the right receivers, but it's when you have the play calling of Matt Canada, it's that you can't win games like that. And the way to get Pickens the ball more is, it's going to sound crazy, but we need to get the tight ends more involved in the passing game.
Yes.
Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, more involved in the passing game. So that way, once you do that, then you'll be in zone coverage, single coverage, and you'll be able to find, openings, but then Pickett has to find the guy in the open lane. So, I mean, it's a process, but when you continually do bad play calling, that's where everything's falling on top of Canada. You're supposed to realize this. And how do you get your players involved more in the game? And we've seen it with Roethlisberger and Heath Miller, and then Roethlisberger and Freiermuth. Once you get those tight ends involved in the game, and then you're swinging past your running backs, you're opening up the defense for great plays. But I'm just a co-host on Steel Nation Live. What do I know? It's none of my business, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, Jay.
Even with the tight end, really quick, and this is my last point. But even with the tight end, and I agree with you on that. Even when they had the tight end in there, where did you see most of those balls going to during the regular season? Which direction? They went on the perimeter. Yeah, it's almost like I'm not sure what they're telling them.
Nothing in the middle. Absolutely nothing
wide
in the
open,
middle.
Throw it in the middle. Like they're scared to play the middle of the field.
Look at the stats on that. Fact check that. How how the percentages of passes in the middle of the field. Look it up. You know what? I'm going to do that. Have it for next show. It's not very good at all.
Right.
And defenses are knowing that they're leaving the middle wide open. And we'll talk about that next show. Hey, quick, a score.
Oh yeah, Jay, give us a score on this game
quick.
Sunday versus the Packers.
I'm going to say 24-27.
24-27.
24-27 Steelers. Yep.
24-27.
Kick the field goal.
Field goal.
Kick the field goal late to pull it out. It's going to be ugly again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know what? To piggyback off of San Fran Steve, I think it's going to be, I'm going to pick the same score, 2017 Steelers over the Packers. And the Packers just coming off a big win themselves, but that's not saying much. They beat the Rams 20-3, and the Steelers are 3-point favorites in Vegas. And I think we're 2-2 against the spread. And like I said, we came off another victory too. They're 3-5, we're 5-3.
Right.
So it's going to be one of them scrimmage games, and it might even be 17-13, but the Pittsburgh Steelers will win by 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'm looking for like a 24-17 type game. And like you said, I think it's going to have to come back down to Kenny Pickett trying to do something late,
Don't turn the ball over. Defense has got to create turnovers and points, or the Steelers will not win a game. I mean, I'm sorry. It's
Great point. Great point. Even though these games are ugly, if he doesn't turn it over, he will come back at the end and win it for you. You're right. But they cannot turn over. That is correct.
No interceptions in the past 5 games for Kenny Pickett. Let's keep that going.
Yep. Hey, Delaware Jay, thanks again calling in Steeler Nation Live, brother. You was on point. Like I said, we here every Tuesday, brother, 6 to 7 here on Steeler Nation Live, man. I would love to have you back on, dog.
I will. I'll come back next week. You guys got a great show. Keep up the good work.
That's it, my brother.
Talk to you later.
Hey, like I said, Steeler Nation, wide and near, fellas, wide and near. But we got a couple more things real quick I got to go over. Hey, we didn't finish talking about the different look for the Steelers on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So you got any idea what it is that what kind of
Yes, we started talking about it. We got a phone call coming in. Steelers are going to don their 1970 throwback jerseys. And when I saw throwbacks, I'm like, yes, I get to wear my Bumblebee jersey again. And it's not that, folks. It's, the old school, the big block numbers, the letters in the back, nothing really crazy. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-0 since 2018 when we first went back to that jersey as a throwback. So hopefully we can continue this winning streak and be 4-0 against the Packers. I don't know if they're wearing throwbacks or whatever, but I mean, when you get with the Packers and the Steelers, it's essentially the same jerseys forever.
Right.
Since back in time. But I mean, you change it, alter the number, the name, whatever. I mean, it's basically the same thing. I don't know about the helmets. Maybe they have the gray face masks. I'm not sure. But that's a big thing. And Minkah Fitzpatrick hopefully will be back and, to entertain the defense with some power, some splash plays or something.
Oh man, like you said, every week, man, watching the games is like a heart attack for us. I'm gonna be on some serious meds before the end of the season. But guys, also one last question out there: should the Steelers bring back an old Steeler, Martavis Bryant? What, James?
Yeah, I mean, he had some issues. Okay, had to do with dabbling in the ganja, smoking the reefer. And which was illegal back in the time. I guess it's legal now, but still not in the NFL. We shipped him over to Oakland. He did fantastic there until he couldn't get out of trouble. So I think by now he's matured enough. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers should give him another chance. Have him back. The Cowboys are looking at him. They don't need another receiver, but I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can benefit from him. And if you think about it, it's the receiving core: Deontay Johnson, Martavis Bryant, Pickens, come on now, and Calvin Austin III. You got to throw him in the mix there, and we got the tight end crew. It's just you got to get them involved, man. Get them involved. Tight ends. It's what it's about.
Yeah, that's 100% true thing. And guys, like we said, I wouldn't mind having him back. I wouldn't mind having Martavius back. Martavius is a true talent. And like we said, if he can keep his head straight and if you can get him on the cheap, get him in, come in. And if he does well,
he's signed him for 1 year.
Yeah.
What, $1 million for a year? See, well, it's half the season's over, so maybe we'll get a discount, maybe a Groupon or something. I'm all about Groupon and coupons. You got to save the money.
Groupon.
You got to save the money.
Hey, guys, another show in the book here on Steeler Nation Live. Again, from your boy Sanders Tisdale,
James Owen.
And guys, we want to give out a special salute to all the veterans out there, the guys out there who serve. Much appreciation of what you do and what you did for this country. And most of all, I want to give appreciation to the guys who came on the show tonight. San Fran Steve, Delaware Jay, and all the others that are trying to call in. And I missed some texts on the board as well, and I apologize for that because I'll get to them. And guys, most of all, we appreciate you for stopping by Steeler Nation Live and checking us out here on Tuesday. So again, for Sanders Tisdale, James Owen, we'll see you Tuesday on Steeler Nation Live.